Here's how non-technical people can write production-ready code. Let me show you. All right. So in my last video, I was talking about Claude Code and Codex, and that I basically use both of them together. And it was theoretical, essentially just laying out which use cases I use it for, where I opt for Claude Code or where I opt for Codex. And here I actually want to show you how that looks in practice. And so if you want to go watch that other video, I'll link it up there somewhere. But in terms of practicality, so I was saying that I use Claude Code to plan. So I already have a plan here that is basically has been written over the last, I don't know, half hour maybe from an interview. So to find all the edge cases and figure out features and whatever we have to cover in the plan. So now we have a plan for the plan, Claude Code, Claude's plan. And then now basically you have a couple options here. It says like, yes, use auto mode, manually approve, blah, blah, right? So this is just normal stuff if you want to continue, but I can also press 4 here, which I already have. So I'm in there and I will tell it the following, or rather before we go do that, I go into Codex or ChatGPT. And basically what I do is like, I just write a very short message here. This is a bit of a workaround, but I like it because it gives me more visibility. And so what happens now is it just opens a conversation here. And let's maybe give this a name. It's audience only, I don't know, whatever the feature is, right? We just want to, because it's not going to auto name it because it only does it, I think, in the beginning. So we have to do it ourselves because the thing was dumb. But we can also, I mean, why I'm doing a very short message is I want to keep the context very lean. Like I could make a longer message, but then I have a bunch of garbage in here that I don't need. So I make it very short and I go in here and I say copy session ID. And what I'm doing now is I'm basically telling Claude Code, use the codex tool, which is just /command that I'll link that somewhere in the description, just as a GitHub gist or whatever. And I will tell it the session ID, because the problem is if I use the codex tool directly without the session ID, it will work, but it will do it in CLI mode or non-interactive mode, and then it will just be in the console, so I won't be able to see it, right? But I want to see what they're doing, like what the back and forth is like, and what that step is now is basically I am reviewing the plan, but I'm using Codex because Codex is much better and much more diligent, right? Which is a strength of Codex. So I give the session ID and review the plan with it. Do as many rounds of back and forth as possible. Sorry, as necessary, not possible. But basically this I'm saying because as Claude Code is always fucking lazy, it will do 1 round of feedback and then it will just kind of be like, no, there's like still stuff, but I don't really care. So then it just does that to push things towards completion, but that isn't good because Codex will often come back with a no-go. At first, there's always something missing, and then it will decide afterwards, and then sometimes it still says like, okay, this is like kind of okay, but there's these little things that would still be doing, and then often Claude Code will be, okay, so there's nothing left, and I can just go ahead. So to avoid that, I'm saying like, hey, take as many rounds back and forth as you want. All right, so now we'll wait, and it will go, so here you'll see the tool that's calling now. And essentially what will happen is that ChatGPT Codex within here, it won't show up, unfortunately, because the desktop app doesn't register that it's happening. So this is another little fucking annoying workaround. But ultimately what you will do is you will just quit ChatGPT and then you will open it again. And then when you open it again, it should be there within the same conversation. If it already, let's see. Okay, so it's still writing the reviewer prompt. Beautiful, very fast. So now we're seeing here how in the shell we are calling Codex, will have high reasoning effort, and we resume the session that we gave initially. This took quite a lot longer than normally. But now we essentially have within the same conversation, right? So this is what where we had started. We have a reviewer prompt. So this is part of the codex tool command that it will say, hey, you're this reviewer, here's some stuff, and here are the changes that were made, and then it will go in and it will do its usual routine when it does a review, and it will then respond back to Claude Code and will say, hey, yeah, go, this looks good or no, and then they will have a back and forth. And then ultimately when the plan is good, I go ahead and then I just start the normal implementation where Claude Code in the beginning was asking like, this is the plan, should we just use auto mode? So I usually use auto mode. You can also use generously skip permissions if what you're doing, but if you're non-technical, maybe it's not a good idea. At least auto mode will notify you when it's about to do something destructive. And then once you have implemented, basically what I do is I say something like use codex and the same session to review the implementation. And do as many rounds. So then basically we're doing the same thing. We're having them have a conversation back and forth, but this time it is reviewing the implementation and not reviewing the plan. And then we also have Claude Code doing PR review whenever the PR is up. So the goal of the plan will be to get a PR up, and then Claude Code will leave feedback via the GitHub extension. And then you have that codex review GitHub and fix the little issues that the GitHub reviewer agent mentions, and saying like, only do what is critical and ignore, there's always like 30 nitpicks. And then those I just go in and I just resolve so that they don't clutter GitHub, but they also aren't stopping us from getting it into production. And so that's, or on staging or whatever. And so that's the full process, how you can use these two tools, because they're complementary, to ship pretty decent code. And Codex will make sure you're not doing anything stupid in terms of security. And Claude Code will make sure you are getting actually what you want, because Codex is very hard to talk to by itself. And you have to be very specific. If you're an engineer, it's fine. But if you're not, it's very hard to use. So again, check out that other video where I go more into the kind of background of it. But this is in operational way how you approach it. And yeah, let me know how it works for you and if it works for you. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.